Hello people, it's Power here to review the Kamen Rider Zero-One DX ZAIA ThousanDriver. So this is the driver from ZAIA Enterprise, and here we have the rider that uses it, Kamen Rider Thouser. Perfect price, and this one comes with two keys. This one being the Amazing Caucasus Progress key, and this one being the Awakened Arsenal Zetsumarais key. So, obviously to try to be snobby, Thouser uses both a Progress key and Zetsumarais key. There's some warning about that. So obviously, ZAIA Enterprise, ThousanDriver closed. Kamen Rider Thouser. Back part telling you everything, and obviously the bottom. So, yep. So here are all the contents out of the box. So let's just remove away everything important. And just get over the belt straps because they're the same as the Zero-One driver. It's just that now the straps are black plastic, which I do think is neat, and the clips are now gunmetal. And this part is the same as the Zero-One driver, and let's see. Just to compare, this is blaring different. So just simply clip these in like so. So here is the full-on look of the ThousanDriver. You can obviously add the holders to make it complete, although he barely utilizes. Gosh. So now after I could just throw this on. Oh, what am I doing? So here's the ThousanDriver. It's pretty interesting in design. It's like, I guess, more simplified look compared to the Zero-One driver. The plastic is in this, like, it's gray, but it looks like there's some hue of blue, but I can't really tell. Obviously the front is black, the sides here are silver, the front is gold, and there's the speaker that's going to be relevant, and the back, nothing pretty much, and this requires 3 AAA batteries. The sides here, this is where you're going to insert your keys. This is where the Zetsumarais key is going to go because there's nothing else, and then this is where the Progress keys are going to go. And just, it's a similar like system that they use with the Zero-One driver. However, this is way more simplified, as the Zero-One driver is like a full-on like plate. This one's just a square, and there's another additional button here. Speaking of these ports, if we press 2 of these buttons, it opens up the ZAIA ThousanDriver. I said I wasn't going to refer to that. I love how this reveals all the gold within, like, inside the driver, and I just think that's interesting. I like the purple in here. It's a nice metallic purple, and there's the logo imprinted because the Zetsumarais key is stuck in here. I would have preferred if that wasn't the case, but I understand what they were trying to go for. Okay, now I can put that away and go move on with our two keys. The first one being Awaken Arsenal, which is our first Zetsumaris key we're going to take a look at. I like the gold plate. It's pretty interesting. You know, I just like its rough texture and such. And this is the first for a Zetsumaris key to technically go off the same naming scheme as a PowerRider key, as it's now Awaken Arsenal instead of Arsenal Magia. And instead of saying ability Zetsumetsu, it says type Zetsumetsu evolution. And I think that's pretty interesting. There's the Arsenal, and then this the symbol for Zetsumaris key. And obviously, as you can see, there's this thing on the side. It's not a handle, it's just there. Obviously, this one's different to most PowerRider keys, or just most keys in general, because this one's the only one so far that's for the left side. Nothing on the back, no QR code for Bitsby Gamba, and the best part, it's a hunk of plastic. Yeah, that's how they disappointed us. This is the actual product that we are wanting for, the Amazing Caucasus PowerRider key. This is the PowerRider key spun off of Amazing Hercules, because, you know, keys like this one, essentially anything that wasn't made out of Zero-One, that wasn't Freedom Bear, is a ZAIA PowerRider key. But obviously there's a certain selection of ZAIA PowerRider keys are like certified ZAIA PowerRider keys. Like literally, like the only difference between them is this, or is that this is gold, obviously, but then like Caucasus has one more horn than Hercules. So again, its name, ability, Break Horn, and this one's in translucent black. Then that's kind of off-putting. Would have preferred if they were consistent. Oh, like I guess they didn't want this translucent because it wouldn't look good. So obviously here's the back of it. I've been having issues with this, but there's the QR code for Gamba, and then the number is 030. So I don't know how we jumped so fast already. Obviously the typical shape of a PowerRider key is still somewhat there. It's just obviously it's not as round, it's just curved and such. So, and obviously this one, because you know, being spiffy, can spring open with the power of this button. Basically because there's this latch here, and the cover is just spring loaded because the cover's the same. It's just there's a spring in here. When you wrap it, or when you close it back up, and when you press it, it does that. You can manually do it by just like slightly lifting that up and doing that. But here we have the Caucasus beetle, and then there's the symbol for Thouser, or the 3 horns, because obviously it's golden. I don't really see anything else that's different besides the horn, or the additional and longer horn. So yeah, obviously let's get over with the sounds because we're already 8 minutes in. So there we get the ability. The light's going to keep pulsing. Then the second activation. Amazing Horn! We get that. And then the third. Thouser Horn! And then. Great Horn! That's basically it. So we don't get like Caucasus ability and such. We just get 3 phrases, which only 2 of them have been used. Thouser Horn hasn't been used, but yeah, this is just gonna sit. Let's just move on. So obviously the ThousandDriver, all we're gonna have to do is turn it on.
ThousandDriver.
And there it announces itself. Obviously it's a different voice from the Zero-One driver. And you can't really do anything with it, obviously, because you can't. So to start the transformation, take your Zetsumerise key and slot it to the left.
Zetsumetsu evolution.
Then this standby will start. Then activate your PowerRider key and insert it to the right, like so, to transform.
Perfect rise. When the 5 horns cross, the Golden Soldier Thouser is born. Presented by Zaya.
So there's the whole transformation of Kamen Rider Thouser, completely in English. And with sponsorships too. And okay, like the look of the ThousandDriver at this point now, I'm not really a big fan of. I don't like how the keys just, they stand out really horribly, and they make the belt like, they make like wearing it awkward just because of like how much they stand out. I feel like I would have preferred if they were like in way more, just because I don't really like how they just sit out. And like I do like this like detail of like, you know, 6 horns, even though it's supposed to be 5 horns. Like I do like this, but it's just, I don't really like the idea of the PowerRider keys just sitting out. And also, just like the Zero-One driver, this thing cannot sit because of how round it is. And to quickly look at the image in the middle, obviously it makes sense as to why the Arsenal was already imprinted, because then to go with the Caucasus, now it forms a face similar to Thouser, essentially has 5 horns. And now to do the finisher, which is just like the Zero-One driver, you press it in.
1000 destruction.
So there you get the Thouser destruction, and that's really all you can do. It's not like the Zero-One driver where you can like scan it and like do more. However, I think this is supposed to be its equivalent, to which is where you pull out the PowerRider key. And for this sake, I'm gonna reinsert it.
Great rise. Caucasus's ability.
So there we get the Break Rise attack, which is something he's never used. But it's a cool thing, and then as you can hear from there, it did say Caucasus ability, but in the automated voice. So I'm just assuming they either forgot to tell the voice actor to do that line, or they probably did. However, that function isn't limited to that. We can use a PowerRider key for that function.
Great rise. Hercules Beetle's ability.
That's technically it. Unless you want to restart the entire transformation process by taking out the Zetsumerise key and then inserting this.
Rise. Hercules Beetle's ability.
So yeah, there's no transformation because there's no authorization. The light will just continue on like normal, and just to note, there's no attack.
Rise.
So there's that, and then obviously you actually have functionality with this without the ZAIA key. You can just use the PowerRider key and insert it like so.
When the five horns cross, the golden soldier Thouser is born. Presented by ZAIA.
Obviously, this will still do its same transformation because that's what it was programmed to do, but this will say PowerRider instead of Perfect Rise, which makes sense. And then you still get a finisher with this.
1000 break.
So there you get the 1000 break, which is pretty neat. You don't get a additional sound put in the back end, you just get the PowerRider. What happens if we insert a PowerRider key? In like so.
Hercules Beetle ability.
We get an error. So let's get into how this works. Essentially, this button here essentially segregates which PowerRider keys work in here. Obviously, Amazing Caucasus has this gap built up here, so then his PowerRider key doesn't hit that button. Everything else hits that button. So you essentially cannot. So essentially, like, this thing has like features that you can't access with other PowerRider keys, which sucks. But then too, obviously, there's technically no way of authorizing PowerRider keys because this thing, when you activate it, is essentially authorizing itself. So, the only way to technically authorize a PowerRider key is using the speaker.
Setsumetsu Evolution. PowerRider. With mighty horn-like pincers that flip the opponent helpless.
So that's all you can really do. However, you still can't do finishers because it can only PowerRider. So, yeah, that's essentially all the functions of that you can try to do with this by itself. So, obviously, because we can't use this in anything, not even in Breaking Mammoth. So let's use this in everything else we have. So, here we have the Zero-One driver, which this one's going to be interesting because obviously we have to activate the PowerRider key. And as I said, like, it's already authorized, but you have to do it again by scanning it, where it will announce it's authorized and simply insert it.
When the five horns cross, the golden soldier Thouser is born. Presented by ZAIA.
So, sadly, we still get the same transformation as the ThousanDriver, which typically they try to change it up, like with Necrom and the Gasha Gear Duel, but then they just stopped doing that ever since, like, the Beyond Driver and such, so that's, if I had to be honest, that's kind of disappointing. But, as you can see there, it's the same logo, it's just without the two horns.
1000 impact.
Surprisingly, the attack goes longer than the lights. That's kind of funny. And obviously, because this is our previous review. That's fun. I'll actually just show this off because technically this is an alternative way you can do this, to which you scan it first and then activate it.
When the five horns cross, the golden soldier Thouser is born. Presented by Zaya.
So now technically, like, this is the ThousanDriver version of the transformation. The difference between the ThousanDriver transformation and the Zero-One driver transformation is just timing, because obviously ThousanDriver is longer. So this is gonna be off some kind.
1000 Terra Impact.
It's not noticeable, but like obviously during that third like standby, the sound's supposed to start, but why am I struggling? And obviously you can do error rise and then still get the transformation. Again, this is for more spoiler sakes, but obviously because Yua is under Zaya, so might as well give her this one. This one, I'm doing it stupidly because obviously I'm gonna transform it like how Yua does it, or how she would, to which you press the button in there, even though obviously you're supposed to do it like how Fua does it, and then insert it, and it doesn't authorize. That's fun.
Soldier Thouser is born. Presented by Zaya.
So there's the shot riser version. Obviously pretty accurate towards the other ones. And so obviously you still press the button. You still get the standby, but now it sounds like it's gonna die. And then I just really like the shape overall of this. Like, yeah, it's kind of odd because now it's like, you know, it's curved and such, and it's not like, you know, like straight, but I don't know, I just like how that works out. Last but not least, we got the Force Riser, which this one's going to be tricky because of how things work. Now, it's most, like, it doesn't matter you activate it or not, because obviously, like, because obviously when people typically activate, it's going to open up and you're going to have to close it, so just insert it like so. However, you can't force it open. So, what you're going to need to do, I don't know why I took it, I just did it for them, you don't hear the standby. So what you're going to need to do is that you're going to insert it, but then you need to press the button. So then you can actually let it off and loose.
The Golden Soldier Thouser is born.
So the LED is pretty good because it's just mostly blank. I don't know how to describe it. But and as you heard too, the transformation is actually accurate. They got rid of presented by Zaya, which is what I wish more progress keys did. I don't understand why the majority of them were programmed to keep that, but anyways. So, okay, you're gonna have to be careful doing the finishers too. And you're basically just gonna have to hope this happens. like that. Like, okay, this is like the flaw with with both of these, with the Force Rider and the Caucasus, is that Caucasus doesn't like being read in here for me personally, so that's why you don't even hear anything. Like that. And then, like, for some reason it'll just click in. But yeah, so again, like, if you get it to, if the when you close the Force Riser and the close, you just have to keep pressing the button. We're using the arrow because bad guys. And now obviously we can't activate this because if we do,
Progress key confirmed. Ready to utilize.
it's now technically, I want to say now it's technically reveal, but yeah, so obviously because the Zero-One driver, ThousandDriver, they use the same pin combinations as the attached weapons. However, the only way they were able to get away with it is that obviously to activate Zero-One driver sounds, you have to authorize it. However, because how this works, when you press the button, it already authorizes it, so it thinks it's in the ThousandDriver. But so, which is why you have to just insert it like so.
Progress key confirmed. Ready to utilize. Caucasus's ability. 1000 attacks.
And then, last but not least,
Progress key confirmed. Ready to utilize. Caucasus's ability. 1000. Kamen shoot.
charge off.
Charge rise. 1000. Charge. Full charge. 1000. Kamen strike. Charge rise.
And that should be it for that. So, overall, my thoughts on the ZAIA ThousanDriver is that it's such a downgrade compared to it's just such a downgrade in functionality compared to the Zero-One driver, because the Zero-One driver, you have a lot more fun to do with it, because like obviously like the authorization function is fun, and then just like the satisfaction of inserting the progress key and having the front plate slide open, and then the lights, well, the lights are good on this toy too, and then just like obviously like, you know, being able to like upgrade or like power up your attacks more and such, that's just like more fun. And obviously there's more variety. The issue with this one is that, like, I'm trying not to get into like show reasons, because technically this thing is way more powerful than the Zero-One system, which, okay, but like the issue with this toy is that it just feels like a slimmed down version of the Zero-One driver, which I guess it's not bad if you want a standalone belt. Like, it's a somewhat alright substitute for the Zero-One driver, but at the same time, it's just like there's a lot of things that lack in it. I think the thing that hurts this toy the most is this button. It's just this button as a whole. Now, I don't mean to use words like segregation, but like, it's just like, I don't like the idea of like separating them, because I don't understand why ProRider keys just can't work in here properly. Now, I understand there's no authorization function, but that doesn't mean that you should just, like, get rid of functionality. Because this will be a hack in the system sometime when my schedule is available. You can actually remove that button in the ThousandDriver and get a bunch of functionality out of this toy. And it's just what I wish the ThousandDriver was in the first place. Just a second version of the Zero-One driver. Obviously it works differently, but like, I think it would have just been way better than what they did. Because if that button didn't exist, this toy would have been fine. But they decided to make that button a thing. And obviously this thing, technically being the only retail ZAIA key, it's so poor. Like, I seen like Japanese customizers do way more with this thing, because I honestly wouldn't have mind if this thing made sounds, but no, like, all guy does is he just flips it up and like throws it at your lamp. So it's just like, I don't know, I just think it's just really cheap on their part to not at least have one retail, well, that is our one retail ZAIA key, that, but it doesn't do anything, because they're probably be like, well, if you want a ZAIA key that has sounds, then get the Gashpon ones, or you want DX quality, go order them in Premium Bandai. So it's just like, I just don't really like that. Overall, it's just like, honestly, like, you're getting this because you're a fan of Thouser, you want all 10 belts, or you just, again, like the voice. That's kind of why we got it so early. But I recommend getting this on a sale. Do not get it for full price. This is like a $30 toy, just like the Beyond Driver. But like, that's what I'll say. At least this is more fun than the Beyond Driver, because like the Beyond Driver was just not as, that thing was just not compatible with the ride watches. This thing at least is just, you can at least do things with it. I hope this is not a 30-minute video. If it is, I'm sorry. This is PowerRider, and I'll leave people I need to clean up my ProRider keys. Bye.